Hello, co-journeyers, and welcome to The Truth So Help Me Good. I am your host, Barbara Landry, lawyer turned yogi turned interfaith minister turned author. Together we will explore what it means to be on this journey we call life, with inspiration from my upcoming memoir, The Truth So Help Me Good. Welcome to episode 1. Let me introduce myself. I'm a 66-year-old Jewish white woman living in southern New Hampshire. I'm also a wife, mother, daughter, and grandmother. About 4 years ago, I joined a memoir writing class, and our group is still together. We call ourselves the Fabulous, Fearless Five. The experience of writing memoir has been life-changing for all of us. It takes courage to go back and excavate our past, especially when it involves trauma. There are very few among us who have avoided trauma of some kind. It is one of the universal experiences we share as humans. And I just love that because the more we are able to recognize what we share in common, the more we are able to cultivate empathy and compassion for one another. Ultimately, as humans, we all want the same thing: to belong. So recently, my daughter, son-in-law, and almost 2-year-old granddaughter relocated from Nashville and landed themselves just down the street from me. Needless to say, hanging out with my first and to date only grandchild is amazing. She is brilliant, funny, curious, loving, and joyful. I recently found myself sitting with my granddaughter watching a YouTube episode of Ms. Rachel, a creator of toddler learning videos. Ms. Rachel is loving. Ms. Rachel is kind. Ms. Rachel teaches about making friends, taking turns, being silly, being curious. Ms. Rachel is someone who we would all want to be friends with. I've even considered watching Ms. Rachel without my granddaughter. I mean, why wouldn't I want to spend time with someone who teaches friendship and belonging, smiles at me, and calls me friend? So it got me thinking about that old adage that everything we need to know we learn in kindergarten is really true. Ms. Rachel also reminded me that when things get difficult, we can get through it if we do it one step at a time. This really resonates with me because life can and does feel unbelievably complicated and overwhelming at times, perhaps now more than ever. It reminds me of the importance of getting down to basics. What are the things we can do, one step at a time, to help minimize the stress and overload in our lives? Step 1. One of my favorite Albert Einstein quotes is, "The most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or a hostile universe." It raises the question of how much of the way we experience the world has to do with how we view the world. Maybe that is step number 1, to consciously choose how we see the world. And there is power in that, because if our experience of our lives is shaped by how we see the world, then our perspective can make all the difference in our experiences. Step 2. One of the many things that has really stuck with me from my seminary studies is the importance of remembering who we are. That within us, there is a deep knowing of our true nature. And we all have that deep knowing. That knowing that, as Rumi tells us, that we are not only a drop in the ocean, but we are the entire ocean in a drop. That we belong to something greater than ourselves, and within us is our own unique spark. But even with that deep knowing, sometimes we can fall asleep. We awaken and we fall asleep. We awaken and we fall asleep. In January of last year, my dad fell and broke his hip at the age of 87. He required a hip replacement and rehab. During that time, I moved in with my mother for about 3 weeks. It was a precious and sacred time, and I was totally uplifted by the opportunity to offer my love and support. By the time Thanksgiving rolled around 11 months later, something had changed. I found myself completely exhausted and stressed out. Somehow, I'd lost my way from that sense of being uplifted months earlier, and in early December, after changing into my pajamas one night, I found myself throwing my clothes into the toilet instead of the hamper. I stood there in disbelief, and although I found it somewhat funny at the time, it was definitely a red flag. There is even a name for it. It's called multitask overload. The truth is that I became so caught up in the details of being in service to my parents that I forgot the importance of being in service to myself and my own needs. In some ways, I had fallen asleep and forgot who I am and to whom I belong. I forgot that it is not up to me to try and control all of the details of my parents' aging journey. I forgot that it is through my love that I can best serve them as well as myself. The love that resides within me as the eternal spark. The love that resides within all of us. And although our individual stories may be different, the challenges that we face and our human journey is a shared experience. Ask and you shall receive. In December, I received an email announcing an upcoming workshop being held by a local energy worker who has an extensive background in the chakras. How did she know I needed this? In this workshop, I was reminded of the importance of consciousness, the importance of self-care, and our innate ability to relax and find inner peace. That our true nature is inner peace. I began to awaken once again, returning to the peacefulness of my inner awareness. The Hindu tradition has a Sanskrit word that captures the characteristics of our true nature, Satchitananda. It is actually comprised of 3 words, Sat, meaning truth, Chit, meaning consciousness, and Ananda, meaning bliss or peace. This truth, consciousness, and bliss is our true nature. The part of us that is pure awareness. That part of us that is the entire ocean in one drop. The part of us that allows us to experience that we are connected to all that is. The part of us that is love. I began to experience once again my relationship with all that is around me, my connections to all that is, which flows out of this inner place of peace and love, the Satchitananda. And so my reawakening all began there. And I was also reminded that it is always there. It is always present. But that it can become obscured when we become in service to our mind and ego, our fear and doubt, our need to feel some control and assume responsibility. Fortunately, Our infinite spark is unchanging and is always patiently waiting for us to come home again. Step 3. So we awaken to ourselves. Where do we go from there? We follow the love, of course. We follow the love because we have come to realize that there is no greater purpose in our lives than that. We follow the love because we choose to be in service to the truth, consciousness, and bliss that is who we are. After Karen's workshop, where she suggested, among other things, we look for beauty in the world, I went out and got myself a guitar, something that I love, music and singing. I named her for Belle from Beauty and the Beast. In addition to all of us being a part of the same ocean, each of us is an individual expression of that ocean. When we follow the love and do the thing that comes from our inner truth, we are bringing forth our unique gift that we hold within our individual drop. So I'm going to leave you with a poem by Mary Oliver entitled Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. There is nothing that can ground us like a poem by Mary Oliver with its optimism and hope, always juxtaposed against the truth of our human condition. Well, co-journeyers, I want to thank you so much for journeying with me today, and I look forward to being with you again soon. Take care. Be well.